Solo board gaming night here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Vagrantsong. Before I get any further, let's put a little bit of color in this review. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and take an overhead look at the table and see just how much space this game takes up. Although the board is wide, as you could see, it really does not take up a lot of space on your table at all whatsoever. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at the box and the components inside. I really don't have to tell you just how awesome this game looks. The art is really cool. I love the whole old cartoon look to it. It just looks great. I love it. Everything, even the back of the box, it does a great job showing you what's included. It's awesome. The box insert that was included with the game works really well if you're not going to sleeve your cards. However, I do sleeve my cards, so I ended up creating my own box insert to be able to fit all that in, and I ended up organizing it myself. It really helped with the teardown and setup. The cardboard quality for the tokens are really nice and thick. They feel good. And the same goes with the actual cards themselves. They have like this glossy finish to it, and they have a nice thick feel to it. Really good card quality. The bindle or the bag, however, although it's good quality, it's way too small for my hands. The board game itself, though, the board is excellent. It's nice, wide, has a glossy finish, feels great. And when it comes to the actual acrylics themselves, wow, these acrylic standees look absolutely beautiful. I mean, just look at this. The pages of the rulebook are nice and thick. They also have that glossy finish to it. And although there's 41 pages, only 29 of those pages actually teach you how to play. And they give you a lot of illustrations with a lot of examples to really give you an idea of how the game works and what you need to expect. Although they give you a lot of examples, there are some things that I feel that they could have expanded upon a little more, but good overall. The scenario book has a nice spine with a glossy finish on the pages as well. Inside, you're going to find a majority of the story. It looks beautifully illustrated with a setup guide on how to set up each and every scenario with everything you need to know. And that's it. That's everything that's included in the box of Vagrantsong. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and just look at the basics on how to play the game. On a Vagrant's turn, you place coins on the actions that you're wanting your Vagrant to take. In this case, you're going to place them either on their character card to do general actions, or you're going to place it on their skill cards to do their skill action. There, you'll find the values of everything you need to know, from range, how many bones you get to roll, and the success value. From there, you simply just move the character on the board, roll any dice to see if you're successful, and give life to the haint if you're successful. After a Vagrant takes a turn, the haint takes a turn next. You draw a token from the bindle. Compare that token to the scenario book so you can find out how the haint's going to act and how they may attack our Vagrants, in which you'll decrease the Vagrant's health value and discard the token to the cycle track. After every Vagrant has taken their turn, and the haint has taken its last turn, you move on to the next round. There are other things like event tokens, ritual cards, and the haints gaining life to break them and hopefully help them move on to the afterlife. There's also things like cycling the track, which each haint has a different effect that you need to learn. It's actually really cool, but I'm going to leave that to the rulebook to teach you. You win if you successfully complete the victory condition shown in the scenario book. However, if all your Vagrants are westbound, you lose. After every scenario, you head to the camp, and this is where you're going to be able to acquire and gain new skills. You get to heal wounds, you get to save your game, and even set up your next scenario. And that's Vagrantsong in a nutshell. Now, there's a lot more intricacies that you need to learn about, but that would make the video way too long. So let's just go straight to the pros and the cons. And I actually want to alternate between them, and I'm going to start with the pros. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is the actual component qualities. Now, everything from even the cards, they have like this glossy finish on them. I don't know if you could see it. It's very shiny. But they're nice and they're thick and they feel sturdy. I love, and that carries out to the actual little cards itself. Now I have them sleeved, but still it's the same quality and they're really, really well done. The tokens, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the tokens. They're great, they're perfect, they work just the way they need to. I love the acrylic standees, just look great. I mean, look at this. This looks phenomenal. I love the way it looks. They look great. I want to say, personally, I want to say that it kind of rivals miniatures, and I love my miniatures. But these standees really, really pop, and it has to do with the colors and everything, because unless you paint your miniatures, they don't pop like that. And I just really, really enjoyed the component quality. They're actually off the charts. Even the pages from the actual rulebook themselves, they have this really thick, glossy finish to them. Same thing with the scenario book and its spine. The board itself, although it's not thick, it doesn't feel cheap. I really think that they really went out of the way with how great the component quality of this game feels. They knocked it out of the park. In my opinion, the component quality is great. Now, I did add some coin capsules for the actual tokens. You don't need to do that. I just did that to make shaking the bag feel much more satisfying and easier to do for me personally. I feel like I could shake things up a lot better when I do that. And since on the topic of the actual tokens and the bag, let's talk about this bindle. I did not like this. This was not my favorite. It feels good. It's good quality. It's well done. I like. It's just it's great. The stitching is really well done in the bottom. But even my hand is hard. Even if I did not have these tokens in these coin capsules, putting my hand in here to shuffle and to shake the bag and pull a token out, it didn't feel right. And my first several games that I played, it honestly, it was bothering me. It was bothering me because it was uncomfortable. And I didn't want to play a game that was uncomfortable. I went ahead and I ordered another bag through Amazon. I was using one of my Dinosaur World bags that I had. And that worked much better because I was able to place my entire hand there and shake the bag really well. And I was able to draw and rummage the tokens much, much, much better. Made the game feel immensely much satisfying, much more satisfying to play, much more comfortable. It started feeling smoother. That was really, really, really uncomfortable, having that little bag, that bindle, to take. It's kind of a shame because I like how it's even themed. It has that bindle look on it, like, people that are, I'm just gonna leave and start walking with the stick and the bindle on the end. I think that was great. I love that touch, and I was even looking for, I was trying to purchase a dice bag that was similar to that, but I couldn't find it. But yeah, I really have to mention that dice bag was just or that token bag was just way, way too small. But I do want to mention the actual player actions. Now, this game, I really didn't know how I was going to feel about the player actions when I first heard about this game. But now that I got my hands on it and I played it, I love the fact that you have to use your coins, okay? And you're going to spend your coins and place them on different, either your general actions or your skill cards, to do different things. And I really, really thought it was very, very well done. I loved all of the special, the skills. I really felt that they fit each vagrant. It matched their persona, their personality. I really felt that they matched the type of actions you would do with the actual vagrant that would do it. I thought that was really well done. They were fun to do. I was actually worried about having to roll the dice to get your successes. However, that exploding dice that they would do, Oh wow, I really like it when you roll the 6, you get to roll another dice. That was an awesome mechanic, and sometimes it doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes you can roll multiple 6s and just go to town on the Haints. And by the way, the bad guys are called Haints. The heroes, they're called Vagrants. And when you keep rolling those 6s, oh wow, it could be so satisfying when it happens. I tend to be terrible at rolling. However, sometimes I get really lucky with those dice rolls, and something awesome like that happens. And speaking about the player actions, I don't want to spend too much time here, but I like how this game's version of mitigating, it's not so much mitigating as it is increasing your chances. So, for example, let's say you're by the hint, okay, or you're within range, and here's the range. You look at the rule book to teach you how. It's pretty self-explanatory. Although one thing I want to mention about the range, it's all orthogonal, so you cannot attack diagonally. It would have to be, if you're range 2, you would go 1 2. You can't attack 1 like that. The rulebook doesn't really clarify that very well, but I just did for you, so there you go. But yeah, what I like about it is, depending on how many coins you spend in this instance, for example, let's say I put all three coins on this skill card, I increase my chances of rolling a success, because instead of just rolling, if I were to put just one coin on there, I would just be able to roll one bone, which the game calls dice. But in this case, I put all three of them on there, so I'd be able to increase my chances and roll 3 dice. And I really enjoyed that. It had a casino type of feel to it, but I just really enjoyed it. It's something simple, right? It's not a big deal, but I enjoyed it. And I also enjoyed how they don't let you, the game doesn't allow you to spam. Like, if you have a move that's really good, a skill card that's really good, it goes through a cooldown. I just have these little tokens the game comes with to track your heart, your life. What I ended up doing, I just place it on the card, because when you spend a skill card, it goes through a cooldown. The next round, you won't be able to use it again, and that stops you from spamming a skill card that may be overpowered. And I really like that the designers actually thought about that, because then it would make the game a stroll in the park, and you don't want that. You want to feel challenged, and they do a really good job changing things up to make things challenging. But we'll get there in a second. But when it comes to the player actions, I really did enjoy it. I also enjoyed the fact that every vagrant really does feel different. They all serve a different purpose, and they all have different skills that really give you different benefits or different advantages, and they genuinely feel different from one another. That's a great plus. I love it. The Haints, however, although I love them, I love how every Haint feels unique. I feel that they could be sometimes, not always, but sometimes a little fiddly, especially in the beginning when you're first playing the first several scenarios. You're getting your head wrapped around what the game wants you to do, and yeah, it gets easier, just like every game, the more you play it, right? But sometimes, because the rule book will mention, and I'm going to just flip this to avoid spoilers, because the rule book will mention different abilities and movements, because this page is filled with different abilities and movements that the Haint will do, and every Haint is unique, with the whole page that has 2 different versions depending on whether they are happy faced or sad faced, okay? And their actual personality and the way they attack and the way they're gonna move is gonna change drastically depending on what mood they're in, and that is great. But excuse me, because you're constantly battling different bosses, it can get a little fiddly. You might be questioning, okay, but so this Haint's gonna move this now, or like it's gonna affect this person or this side of the train or that side of the train. And I promise you, it gets easier the more you play. But when you first play, they can feel a little fiddly. I'm actually going to go ahead and just raise the camera just a little bit, because now I'm going to be talking about the board. The board, considering it never changes, this is what you're going to be playing on. It doesn't change. You will be in scenario number 8 and you will still be on the same board. But even with that, the board has an incredible amount of variety. I don't know how so many different ways to play on a train came out, but this really worked very, very well. The reason that there's a lot of different variety in the game itself always comes to the actual event tokens that you'll see around, and also there's different layouts as well. As you could see, there's a whole bunch of tokens laid all over the board. So that's going to make a difference in how you navigate the board, and also depending which haint you fight, it's going to act completely different, and it's going to have different movements and ways of attacking and ways of going on about defeating you, and you're going to have to find different ways to navigate the same exact board here. But the fact that so many things were able to be done with a simple event token is mind-boggling. It really is, because it's one of those things that you'll know it when you play it. As you're playing it, you'll start thinking, oh wow, that was a good idea. That was neat what they came up with. You'll be looking forward to investigating. You'll be looking forward to completing certain things that will, because sometimes there's events up here where the haint's health is, or sometimes it's by where the round is, or where the breaks are when you break the haints, and it always brings something fresh to the game. And although it's one board, it's really well done. A giant plus for me. So the flip side to that is, you might not like that you're going to be playing on the same board, but I promise you, don't let that deter you. It may be a con for you that you're on the same board, but I promise it's not. It really isn't. It's worth experiencing it yourself to figure out why I'm trying to say this to you. But now that I'm on this topic, every boss feels unique. Every single haint feels unique. Every scenario feels unique. If you are interested in playing this game, do not spoil yourself. Don't do it. I wouldn't even watch a walkthrough of your favorite YouTuber. Doesn't matter. Don't do it. Because one of the best, and what makes this game special is when you're going against the haint, right? And you're getting these events pulled out, and crazy things are happening to the left of you, to the right of you, everywhere, to the sides, everywhere, right? That first time when things are happening and you don't see it coming, it's awesome. So I absolutely, I encourage you not to spoil yourself if you're interested in playing this game. It's that good, and the variety is there, and you really, really need to know that. I'm going to talk about something that is a mix for me, and it's the actual box insert. Now, the box insert's actually really good for a board game. If you're not sleeving your cards, it's going to be more than sufficient for you. However, if you're like me and you like to sleeve your cards, or if you even like doing things like putting your tokens inside of capsules like this, coin capsules, it won't fit inside that insert. It's not a knock with the game itself, but it's just, I didn't like that it didn't fit my cards sleeved. But I did use my the way I build. I make my own inserts, and I was able to do it in just minutes. And I'll leave a link in the pinned comment below to show you how to do it. It's really easy. But I had to make my own insert, and it really helped with the setup and the teardown a whole bunch. I mean, it makes it so effortless that I will start and put away a game in no time. And I just want to let you know that you may or may not like the box insert depending on how you sleeve it, whether or not you sleeve your cards. And the final mix, and I put it in a mix because there's so much that happens that it might be impossible for you to see absolutely everything in the first go. But my final mix will be the replayability, because once you know how things work, things might not surprise you as much anymore a second time around. However, there's a lot of game here. I mean, this is not going to be a game that you're going to beat in a couple of hours. This is going to take you a long time. But I will let you know that once you know how the game plays, the only difference is going to be whether or not you lost a scenario, or whether maybe there was an event somewhere that was on one part of the train that you weren't able to get to, and you know what's going to happen. Now you're going to be waiting for it there. That's where the replayability comes from. But other than that, the replayability may be an issue for you. For me personally, if I wait a good long while, like a year or so, 2 years, and I come back to this game, I'm going to forget a lot of things that happened anyway, and it's no problem with me. But there's so much content here, it's so packed. It was almost hard for me to even say this, but I do want to mention it. I would like to start ending this review on the really high positives that I could say on this game, because they need to be talked about. And the first is going to be really obvious, and it is the actual art on this game. In this game is beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous art. I love the art in Vagrantsong so much, and it's everywhere. It's in the scenario book, it's in the rule book, it's on the board, it's in the cards, it's on the character cards. It's a gorgeous game. I absolutely think it's beautiful. But what's even better than the art, and the art is great, is the gameplay loop. And what I mean by that is, how much fun are you having going from one round to the next over and over? And are you having a good time? Is what you're doing in the game fun enough to keep your attention doing the same thing over and over? Which is hard to say the same thing because so many things change. But the gameplay loop in this game is great. Great. I had a blast. I never once got bored. I got tensed. I've got angry sometimes when something happens, like, oh, why did I roll that terrible roll? Oh, I pulled out this token from the bindle again. Like, I would get mad at myself. I would have a lot of emotions, but none of them were boredom. I was never bored playing this game. I was always engaged. I was having a blast. It was fun. Every single scenario. It's more, I was looking forward to the next scenario. I just wanted to see what happened next. And the story was actually cool. I mean, it didn't really need to have one, but it did. And what was there was really, really cool. I was thinking something along the lines like if you've ever played Cuphead, it's kind of you're just going from one boss to the next, right? I expected that. But I got more. I got lore. I got story. I got character. I got personality. There was something neat. There was like this eerie feel to it. It was cool. I really, really enjoyed it. And I needed to just express that because that's how I felt while I was playing it. And I really think that you may feel the same way. And finally, the solo aspect of it. This game, yes, you don't play true solo. You don't just play with one Vagrant. You have to play with at least two. But I will tell you, this is the easiest game to multi-hand that I have ever played. And I don't mean it in the way that the game's overly simplified or anything. What I mean by that is that there's never a lot of clutter on the table. I could clearly see everything that is on the table. I played Adventure Tactics recently, which was a really great game. I love the level up system in that game. That mechanic was amazing. But it was a terrible table hog. So much so that it actually made the game frustrating to play at points. And this game is the complete opposite. If I wanted to, I could play with 4 Vagrants at the same time. And I really don't think that I will have not even a little bit of an issue to play it. I played it with 2 Vagrants, and I promise you, it was the smoothest smoothest experience that I've had in a good long while. And that just comes to show you how well or how important it is for a board game to be respecting your table space in a way that when you bring the game out, you don't feel like there's just things everywhere, but you could notice, you could be able to distinguish everything that is laid out before you, that you're able to understand it without feeling overwhelmed, but at the same time feeling challenged enough and intrigued enough to enjoy what you're doing. And this game does multi-hand perfectly. I just love the way that no matter how many vagrants you could play with, you never feel lost. You'll never feel like it's overwhelming. One thing that I will say, I just use these exhaust tokens. So whenever I've already used a vagrant's turn, I just put it on their card. And then I'll know that they took their turn. And that's it. It really, really helps a lot for an already very, very easy on your table game to play. It's really easy on your table. It's not going to overwhelm your table, and it's not going to overwhelm you. So if you're a solo player, this is a must buy, must play, must own game. And that's it. That was my review of Vagrantsong. This is a game that I really hope that you get your hands on and get a chance to play it. I heard about it late last year. It sprung out of nowhere for me, and ever since I heard about it, I knew I wanted it. But I wasn't sure if it was going to disappoint me, if it was going to meet or exceed my expectations. And I will tell you that it absolutely exceeded my expectations easily. And I am so happy that I got this game, because I will definitely see myself coming back to it. And if you're a solo gamer, even if you're not a solo gamer, if you like co-op games, do yourself a favor, get Vagrantsong. It's a must-have game, and a game that you're going to want in your collection to show all the people in your life that you love how awesome board games can be. With that said, this is Solo Board Gaming Night. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. It's always a blast just talking, having conversations with you all. Thank you for coming by and hearing me rant and talk and just have a good time making these videos for you. And I hope you all have a great game night. Take care. So effortless. Ugh. I almost want to leave that in.